I, 30 female, have a wonderful husband, 35 male. We've been together for 5 years, married for 2. I met my husband's brother's wife, 33 female, when I first met his whole family a couple of years back. She was nice to me at the start, but would ask me questions about my heritage and ethnicity a lot. Half Japanese, half Moroccan, but was born and raised in England, Japan. Which, for the most part, I do not mind, because I genuinely think she wanted to learn. But I don't appreciate comments like, "Thank God your dad is Moroccan. If not, you would have ugly hooded eyes and your husband wouldn't be interested. Why don't you use your chopsticks to cut through your steak?" And other infuriating ones. She would say these things during dinner with the whole family, and my husband and in-laws would chastise her about being rude. So she stopped for a while, but she started saying those things to me in private. Anyways, I've already established that she's R and steered clear of her. One of the main issues is that I think she is interested in my husband. My husband is the youngest of the 2, but he is more financially comfortable than my brother-in-law. Let's put it that way. My brother-in-law is the loveliest and kindest man, and I don't know why she would do this to him. There were instances where sister-in-law would flirt with my husband or touch his hair or shoulders casually. I found it weird, but never spoke a word until my husband started calling her out and told her to stop. My mother-in-law, bless her, noticed it too, and told her to stop making my husband and I uncomfortable while we are here. We usually visit them every 2 or 3 months, but sister-in-law and brother-in-law lives with them. But here's the kicker. Sister-in-law miscarried last year, and everyone showed their support and love to her. My husband and I recently found out that we were expecting twins and were excited to tell the in-laws, but I was a bit apprehensive about telling sister-in-law because I was afraid she might still be grieving. But my husband said that regardless, she should still be happy for us. So we told the in-laws via FaceTime, and everyone was happy, but sister-in-law disconnected. We assumed she needed time and let her be. I got a text from her that night, basically saying that she was still grieving and she was extremely depressed about not being able to get pregnant. Brother-in-law has a low count, which I sympathize a lot. We were having a very heartfelt conversation via text, until she said that it would mean the world to her if we gave one of the twins to her. She said it would be a perfect Hallmark movie that we both had each twin and both would have equal love and attention. I was livid and told her no, along with some other mean things. She played it off as if she was asking for something totally innocent and mundane. She completely twisted the story and told it to my in-laws, making me look like I was the bad guy. I don't know how me not giving my child away could make me the bad guy. My mother-in-law called me and heard my side of the story, and thankfully she corrected the story. Everyone started to vilify sister-in-law, and that was when she blew up and said she hated her life. She married the wrong brother. My husband had no feelings for her, so I don't know where this came from. My babies were supposed to be hers. That Asian bee wasn't supposed to be in this country. We live in Canada, etc., etc., etc. I am at a complete loss and haven't had quite enough experience on how to handle a lunatic. She is playing the part of a scorned woman and dragging me through the mud. I don't want to have my mother-in-law and husband defend me at every turn, so what should I do to get her off my back? By the way, going no contact with her is somewhat impossible, as I have tried once before. My husband loathes her, but adores his parents, so I can't possibly ask him to stop visiting their house. Edit 1. My mother-in-law and father-in-law can't visit us because they run a farm and need to be there constantly, so my husband and I would usually come there. Edit 2. Brother-in-law is the quiet type, but somewhat of a pushover. He works with my mother-in-law and father-in-law to take care of the farm, hence why they stay together. This cannot be yours to deal with. It's your husband and mother-in-law, and mostly the brother-in-law who need to tackle it. You need to sit down with your husband first and work out a joint strategy. Then he needs to take it to mother-in-law and brother-in-law. You can't make her stop being a nutcase, but you can, for example, insist to your husband's family, as a couple, that you are both cutting your communication for the duration of the pregnancy in the first instance. Example: it's distressing and unfair for us to deal with her R and unreasonable demands. We're blocking her number, email. We won't participate in calls she's on, and we need you to ask her to be out of the house when we visit. Or alternatively, we will have to meet you out of the house. We'll be ready to talk when she sees reason and apologizes fully and sincerely for her behavior. But we won't put up with any more of this. or risk her behaving in this unhinged way around our children. Yikes! Your husband, and frankly your in-laws, need to step up here. This isn't just about her being rude anymore. I'd make sure she never has any access to the twins, direct or indirect. She's clearly unhinged and might attempt to steal or harm them. She might try to harm you so that she can save them and your husband, who she has clearly built up some kind of fantasy life around. I wouldn't leave any food or baby supplies at grandparents' house that could be tampered with, and make sure they know not to bring over anything for you that has been left at their home unattended. My fiancé and I have been together 3.5 years, engaged for 18 months, and getting married in May. I thought things were wonderful, but we have hit a major problem. I work in the shipping industry and was away from home for the majority of this. A little background. My sister and fiancé were best friends through our relationship. I'm very close with my sister and my parents. My fiancé is very close with her sister, and we thought of everyone as our own families. Recently this last year, my sister left her mentally ill husband for another guy. Her new guy had a bad past and criminal record, and rightfully so, everyone is skeptical of the guy. But my sister's relationship with her new boyfriend is a whole other thing that I'm not going to get into. Not my business as long as she is safe and happy. Since she has been with this new guy, my fiancé has been very vocal about her opinion of him, that he is a criminal. This has put a strain on their friendship, of course. A little over 3 weeks ago, while going over wedding planning, my fiancé told me she did not want my sister's boyfriend at any of our wedding festivities. She said she was going to approach my sister about it. A few days later, she was afraid to and asked me to confront her about this. I told her I would handle it. Knowing this request would hurt my sister's feelings, I asked my mom for advice on how to handle the situation and how best to approach my sister about this. My mother became upset over it and was afraid that if I asked my sister this, it would hurt my relationship with my sister. I knew it would hurt feelings, but I wanted to try and find a compromise somewhere in all this. After the conversation with my mom, I told my fiancé how it went and that it upset my mom. I wanted to give everyone time to cool off, and we still have 3 months till wedding date. I asked my fiancé please be patient, as this was not an easy subject to approach. My fiancé was none too happy about my mom's reaction and was upset as well. Later on that night, my fiancé and her sister had a long FaceTime call and vented to her about her frustrations. This becomes a problem later. A few days pass. Unbeknownst to me, my mom had a chat with my sister and agreed not to bring her boyfriend. At this point, they hadn't told either my fiancé or I about it. Then, my sister's ex-husband receives an anonymous message on Facebook telling him how my sister cheated on him and left him for a criminal. It was full of half-truths and assumptions, and coincidentally, the few truths it included were things my sister had only ever told 2 people, my mom and my fiancé. Once the ex-husband told my sister about the message, stuff hit the fan. Next day, I was unaware of the anonymous message until my fiancé told me she had to tell me something. She told me that her sister sent an anonymous message to my sister's ex-husband, telling him what she thought was the truth. Fiancé says she only vented to her sister and that her sister took it upon herself to tell the ex-husband. The message included things that were only told to my mom and fiancé. So, of course, number one suspect was my fiancé as the culprit of the message, but no one thought she was capable of this. I told my fiancé it would be best if her sister confessed and cleared fiancé's name. She was upset over it all, but agreed and talked to her sister. The next morning, I awoke to a crap storm of a group text. Fiancé's sister confessed in a group chat including myself, fiancé, my sister, and my mother. She confessed and explained herself, and as you can expect, there were a few heated words at first, but it seemed like things were being cleared up. That was until my fiancé decided that it was a good idea to get drunk and tell everyone off. Well, then it became just my fiancé telling my mom and my sister how horrible they are in this whole ordeal, and how much my fiancé hated my sister's boyfriend. It went on for a couple hours of texts. I woke up the next morning to find out about all this. At first, I was confused and upset, trying to figure out what happened, and trying to keep peace between my family and fiancé. She thinks I took my family's side and not her side, when I was on her side, until she had the drunken outburst. My fiancé even so much as laughed about my family being upset. This was 2 weeks ago to the day. Over the next week, we didn't talk much. A few heated words, but we agreed to give it time to cool off and try to approach this level-headed. After a week, unbeknown to me, my mom came by to try and talk to my fiancé over things. Fiancé was in the driveway leaving for work when my mom came by and told her she couldn't talk right then. Later that night, fiancé sent an angry barrage of texts to my mom blaming my mom for everything. I have a sneaking suspicion that fiancé was drunk again during this. As I work on ships, I was out of town. I had gotten off work early, specifically to come home and work things out, as it's difficult to do these things while away for so long. This was 11 days after the anonymous message, and I was at the airport on my way home. At this point, I thought things were calming down and we might be able to talk it out calmly. I received several texts from fiancé about how she refused to pick me up at the airport and wanted to stay in the guest bedroom when I got home. My parents ended up picking me up at the airport. That was when I found out about the angry texts fiancé had sent to my mom the night before. I arrived home and had a sit-down chat with fiancé finally 3 days ago. From what she says, she has no regret and refuses to apologize for the way she acted. She sincerely thinks that her sister was right in sending the anonymous message. We both agreed to stop talking about it for the day, before one of us gets too upset and prevent it from turning into a yelling match. It's been 3 days, and we've hardly spoken to each other in the house. Myself, I can't stand by and let someone intentionally hurt my family. I have talked with my family about it. They're willing to give fiancé another chance on my behalf. My fiancé says she refuses to be anywhere near my family and thinks I have chosen their side, while I've been trying to keep peace between everyone. Is there some way I can approach this and still keep both my family and fiancé? Don't marry a problematic drunk who's mentally 12 years old. That's my absolute best advice in your situation. 'Cause this type of thing tends to only get worse. Halt the wedding planning. You both need more time to come together or break up. Your fiancé disrespected you and your family, gossiping and creating drama rather than letting you do what you both agreed to do. She is refusing to see what damage her actions did. She will drive a wedge between you and your family, and then it will carry over between the two of you. Update. I broke up with my fiancé almost 2 weeks ago, and when we sat down to talk, she was still adamant that what her sister did was the right thing and didn't care that it hurt my family. She didn't apologize, showed no remorse or any sort of sign that she would be willing to work with me on this. This left me with no choice but to break up with her. The first couple of days were quiet, a lot of crying and sleeping in different rooms, no arguing or fighting. Then she went to stay at a friend's house 2 days later, and that is when things got bad. She would purposely come back to the house only when I wasn't there and bring her sister with her, took a few more things from the house than we agreed upon, and her sister decided my couch was a great place to change a dirty diaper for her baby, including leaving a leaking diaper on the couch for me to find. Then, the next few days started a smear campaign on social media and lies told to friends. Myself, I've stayed quiet on the social media regarding the breakup and keeping my distance, trying to let things cool down. I have now blocked my now ex-fiancé on every platform, including emails, as it was nothing but her trying to drag me into an argument that would go nowhere. I was an affair baby. My dad was 42 and married with a 20-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter, and my mom was 21 when I was born. My dad divorced his then wife and married my mom, but he kept in close contact with his children, but they never wanted to meet me. I didn't know about the affair or my dad's other family until I was 17. I also felt lonely being an only child, and knowing I had some half-siblings out there gave me some hope. So messaged them on Facebook and told them I wanted to meet them and have a relationship with them, but understood if they don't. They didn't reply at the time. This was 4 years ago. 6 months ago, I received a Facebook message from my half-sister telling me they wanted to meet. I was thrilled. We meet, and we have been forming a siblings bond. Problem is, most of my half-siblings' family is upset we're connecting, but specifically their mother. She feels somehow betrayed and sees me as the reason her marriage and family is broken. A week ago was my half-brother's birthday party, and I was invited. This is the first birthday I got to celebrate with one of my half-siblings. Their mother was also there. She didn't talk the whole evening and left early. After she left, my sister-in-law called me aside and told me I was disrupting my half-siblings' family life by showing up. I was putting them on the spot where they have to choose a side. Same with the rest of the family. And that most of the family sided with my half-sibling's mom. So if I really cared about my half-siblings, I would step back. I don't know how to handle this. I do want to be in my half-siblings' life, but I don't know if what I'm doing is right. Can someone please give me some advice on how to do this in the least painful and hurtful way to everybody? Edit. My sister-in-law is my half-brother's wife. Leave it up to your half-siblings. If they want a relationship with you, awesome. If they don't, then you are better off without, regardless of the reason. Yes, and OP, tell your half-brother what his wife told you. She absolutely went behind his back on that one, and he didn't know she said that. Because if he'd felt the same way she did, you wouldn't have been invited to his party. Let them handle their family. It's not your family, so you don't have any responsibility towards them.